Welcome back to Beyond the Stats. We've got a new segment for you guys today. Obviously, someone new instead of Sean. My brother Roman here is going to be doing football on Mondays and Fridays with me going forward. So I'll let him introduce himself.
My name's Roman. I played quarterback for junior college for a couple of years, broke some records there, ended up getting a full ride scholarship, playing for a year, and after some injuries, ended up retiring. Currently, I'm a huge football fan. Write for the Fin Fanatic. I'm an independent contributor, and you can find me writing articles a couple times a week, usually for the Fin Fanatic and on Twitter.
So, guys, go check him out. Check out the Fin Fanatic, see all of his harsh takes on the Dolphins season.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. I'm a Broncos fan. He's a Dolphins fan. We're going to discuss them a little bit today. Let's start with the ugly, which is the Broncos.
Yeah, they have been ugly this year. Honestly, I saw this Broncos team. I saw Sean Payton. I was like, he can do it. Russ in Seattle, he had the issues. His technique was off. He stopped reading the field and just wanted to go for the big play.
Right.
And when Denver signed him, I remember telling you guys, Russ, he's been successful in Seattle, but Pete Carroll kept him under wraps. And, he was a great quarterback. He's efficient, but man, those things have just gotten worse in Denver.
Yeah, what's as funny is last season, the offense was terrible.
Awful.
Horrendous. This season, the start of the season, it wasn't horrible. It wasn't great. But the pass game was solid.
Yeah.
He was actually putting up better numbers than he had in years.
Yeah.
And now it's just starting to crumble as well as our defense. Our defense, historically, up until the Chiefs game, rated as the worst defense in NFL history. It
helps when Miami puts up 70 on you.
Even take that away, though.
you take that away, your defense is still bad. And I mean, some of it falls on your offense. They can't sustain drives.
Yeah.
The biggest issue I've seen in Denver this year has not been Wilson. Your receivers,
I would agree,
aren't helping at all.
And that's what's been so disappointing is Jerry Jeudy was supposed to be the superstar.
Yeah.
And I think half of the reason why he hasn't hit his expectations is because of his attitude. Last year, he was hanging out with Melvin Gordon while Melvin Gordon was throwing his fits.
Yeah. And
has yet to show up this season. At least Cortland Sutton, not playing well, showed some leadership qualities. But I would tear a lot of this team down at this point.
Well, you're right. I mean, I don't think Sutton's that great, but he's at least a leader. He's a good locker room presence.
Yes.
I was a Jeudy fan. I saw him. I'm like, all right, you're, similar to a Marvin Harrison type receiver.
Dude, I loved Jeudy coming out of college.
And, I mean, you saw it before last week. Steve Smith's he's a tier 3 receiver. He's like, I want to give him props. And he's like, I went out and Steve Smith was talking to him, telling him he needs to step his game up. And Jeudy didn't take any ownership.
No. It's been Russell Wilson's fault since Russell Wilson got here for Jeudy.
Yep.
Before that, it was Drew Lock's fault. It's not ever been Judy's fault that he can't perform and get open and catch footballs because he has crazy amount of drops on top of it.
And he can't stay on the field.
No.
Misses games, drops balls. He hasn't been a positive leader in the locker room.
No.
He's got to go.
And that's my thing. Looking at what you got to do with this team, I tried to commit as long as I could to Russell Wilson because we signed him to some psycho contract before he ever touched the field.
Yeah.
And at that point, you got to kind of ride with it.
Yeah.
At this point, you got to make the best out of it. I would love to draft a quarterback second, third round and let him develop for a year or two.
Which is what Russell Wilson originally was.
Yes.
I look at all of what your team did last year, not this past offseason, but the year before.
Right.
And I think that you're in a 5-year rebuild. I think you have to do everything that was brought in 2 years ago and completely just eat the cap, get rid of everyone. You've already started with Frank Clark and Randy Gregory.
Right.
You keep 2-3 players and
So that's my thing. I've got a couple untouchables that, in my opinion, that you can start to build a team around. Surtain is one of them, unless his dad has said some crap, unless he truly wants out and is not going to show any sort of leadership or anything like that. You don't quit on a guy with that kind of talent.
You don't.
And how young he is.
I mean, I was the same way with Minkah Fitzpatrick. The Dolphins went through this 4 years ago.
Right.
We had like $40 million in dead cap. We paid people money to take Tannehill.
Yeah.
We paid players to go away just so we could clear up cap for the next couple of years.
Right.
And I didn't want to let Minkah go, but he started to have the disruptions in the locker room, disagreeing with Flores, who has shown he's a terrible coach in person. But Surtain is somebody Denver needs to do everything they can to try and keep as a good locker room presence and keep, because he's one of the most talented corners in the NFL.
Right.
But if he starts to do that, then you get a first rounder for him.
I agree. At that point, if he's just starting to be more of a problem, then whatever, cut your losses. Up until that point, he's too good, in my opinion, because if he hasn't done anything wrong and he's one of the guys you just trade away, to me it looks bad on an organization for anyone that once we're getting to that rebuild, anyone that wants to come in that may be a young player, that first question on their mind is going to be like, well, am I even going to be here in a year? I would keep Quinn Meinerz.
Yeah.
I would keep him. I think he's a stud. I'm okay with keeping Sutton. I'm okay with trading Sutton if the right thing is there. I would keep Marvin Mims because we just used a second rounder on him.
Yeah.
And he's a rookie, right? He's got potential. Javonte Williams and McLaughlin, our two running backs, I think could be an incredible running back duo. And you take a lot of the weight off of Javonte Williams, which his style of running back, he can then last longer.
Yeah.
And then it depends on how long your rebuild's looking. But I have a hard time trading Justin Simmons. And the majority of that, he's an incredible player. The majority of that is because he has been hands down the best locker room presence, the best leadership presence, and overall is a really good dude. He's the right type of person you want young players coming in this league around.
Yeah. And you do. I mean, I think the biggest
anyone else I'll trade.
I look at your team and I'm just like, the biggest mistakes this team made is you went out and you got your quarterback. That's fine. We knew that there were some things that needed to be cleaned up.
And I loved the trade, the going and finally making a big splash. It was the contract.
And the contract is workable. The biggest issue, because you see Russell Wilson taking steps this year. Yeah. The issue is you're like, hey, we've got these two great secondary players. We need a pass rush. We're going to go pay $50 million a piece to two average, mediocre pass rushers
who have
never proved anything in the NFL, but they could one day.
That's I think the biggest problem with Denver, truthfully, right now is our GM. He has made bad decision after bad decision, and everyone wanted to talk crap on John Elway, but at least John Elway got us to two Super Bowls.
I was one of those guys talking crap on John Elway. I mean, I do not think he was a good GM, but he did a couple of things. I mean, he went and got Peyton Manning, and he didn't. Right. He made some bad he made more bad draft mistakes than he did free agent signings.
Which is funny is I think George Payton is a good scout and good drafter and a bad everywhere else. So and I don't know.
And that's the thing is because you have your college and pro scouts that are supposed to be feeding your GM.
Yeah. So I don't know, man.
And you also have a contract person in the front office. So whoever is working around Patton should be fired.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I think it's just an awful time to be a Broncos fan right now. Yeah. And hopefully, like I said, I would love if he comes out. I would love, and I don't know your opinion on this, but I would love Sanders to be able to sit behind Russell Wilson.
Shiloh?
Yeah, well, no.
Shador.
I don't know how to, truthfully, I don't know how to pronounce his first name. I think he could be a stud, but he needs time.
Yeah.
I don't love any of the top prospects at quarterback anyway in this draft. I don't love Caleb Williams. I don't love Drake May.
I really like Drake May. And people will hate this argument. I think he's a better version of Daniel Jones.
So that's why I don't like him. I was watching him and I was like, man, I feel like I'm just watching Daniel Jones highlights.
Yeah.
That's my concern.
I think a better.
Do I want to use a 4th pick in the draft on that guy?
I think a better comparison for him in his NFL projections would be Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
And Matt Ryan was solid, never the guy.
More athletic.
Yeah. I mean, Matt Ryan ended up running like a 4.7 at the combine. It wasn't unathletic, but
okay, he
just never used it.
Right. Okay.
Caleb Williams, I'm not a fan of Caleb Williams. Shadur's got moxie. I think that the Michael Pratt, I think is his name, out of Tulane.
Yeah.
He's got talent,
And that's the thing, is there's several talented quarterbacks that you can get. You don't have to use a top 5 pick on, and you can start to actually develop and draft other pieces.
And the best teams are the teams that aren't picking in the top 10 and they trade up for a guy anyway.
Yeah, I hate
the biggest mistake when it came to that of somebody who had a good team and tried to trade up for a guy is the Niners.
Trey Lance?
They had a good team. They traded up everything for Trey Lance, and it should have been the right play. It just, for whatever reason, hasn't worked out. Because
right.
I like Lance had talent coming out. It's just that he was so raw. He needed 3 years of sitting.
And that's the thing. I hate my concern with drafting a quarterback on an awful team like what we have right now is he turns into Zach Wilson. He turns into Justin Fields, right? These guys that had all this potential and then just crumble. And you're like, what is wrong with them? What's wrong with them a lot of times is they were on a horrible team and lost any sort of confidence. You look at Jordan Love, who has been better than I would have thought this season. You look at Aaron Rodgers is obviously the absolute case in that situation. But I feel like being able to let someone sit at least a year or two and you start to build other pieces is the route to go. I don't know what you guys think. There's not real great things going on if you're a Broncos fan right now. No. On that, let's go to more positive things.
Yeah.
Your Dolphins are on a historic run right now offensively.
I have been a Dolphins fan my whole life, and it has been 30 plus years of not being great.
You've felt what I'm feeling
for a long time. We had Nick Saban come in. Who was supposed to fix our team, and he decided to cut tail, which I don't blame him for how things turned out. Then we go on to win one game the next year.
Right.
We were the laughing stock of the league. Like, we made the Detroit Lions look good for a while, and the Jets.
Which is really hard to do.
Yeah.
Now, even if you take away the 70-point game against the Broncos.
Yeah.
Offensively, they're still one of the better teams in history.
Yeah.
Right up through 6 weeks.
Oh, yeah. Through 6 weeks, we're on pace with the greatest show on turf.
Which is, yeah. And a lot of people were doubting Tua going into the season. Mm-hmm. I know me and you both were big fans of Tua because of last year before he went down.
Yeah.
Was the most accurate quarterback in football.
Mm-hmm.
With the talent around him, he doesn't really need to do a crazy amount. He just needs to get the ball to his explosive players and let Tyreek be Tyreek and Waddle and Mostert and A-Chain now.
we have people pop off everywhere. And it's funny because the argument's going to come back that, Tua's surrounded by great players.
Mm-hmm.
You don't put up the kind of numbers you're putting up without knowing where to throw the ball and putting it correctly.
Right.
Tua may not be a $50 million a year quarterback, but this year he's the MVP.
For sure. Through 6 weeks, there's no question.
Through 6 weeks, no question. He's the point guard guiding the offense, and the reason that Tyreek's on pace for over 2,000 yards is because Tua finds him open.
Right. Right. And that's what's been fun. I at least have Sean was asking me, who do you like beyond the Broncos?
Mm-hmm.
I watched so much freaking Dolphins games with you growing up that they slowly became my second team. And so it's like, I'm a Broncos fan. I will always cheer for the Broncos over anyone. But I've at least been able to have fun watching the Dolphins kick butt this year.
Yeah.
I know you're extra critical on these things.
Uh-huh.
Everyone wants to say, you're now 5-1.
Yep.
Historic numbers. Are you guys, with no changes right now, should you be the Super Bowl favorites, or do you feel like there's some adjustments that need to be made, maybe some trades, or just, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
So I think right now, keep people healthy. Yeah. Keep evolving the offense. I was really critical heading into the season. Like the Jonathan Taylor trade came up, and I was like, man, we need to make sure and get him because clear-cut superstar back, that changes the offense. And then Mostert and A-Chain come out, and it's like, okay, never mind. We don't need a
who would have expected A-Chain to be this explosive? I mean, he's averaging 11 yards a carry?
Yeah. He's averaging like 11 yards a carry. Mostert is averaging like 6.2 on the season or something like that.
Incredible.
Yeah, which is great numbers. They actually put up a stat Sunday during the game that for 500 career rushes, he trails only Bo Jackson in yards per carry.
Jeez.
And
I did not know that.
Yeah. He's like 5.66 in his career yards per carry, and Bo Jackson was like 5.68 or something like that.
Okay.
So, I mean, honestly, and we haven't even seen the best Dolphins team yet.
Right.
Teron Armstead, our Pro Bowl left tackle, he's only played in like 2 games. Connor Williams has missed the last 2 games.
Right.
Our starting centers, top 10 center in the NFL. And now we've missed Jalen Phillips, our best pass rusher, for 2 weeks, opposite of Bradley Chubb. Jalen Ramsey, our big free agent acquisition, has not played this year.
What's funny is I didn't even think about that until I saw some article pop up on it today while I was at work saying something about Jalen Ramsey, and I was like, wait, he plays for the Dolphins?
Yeah, everyone forgets about it. And my biggest concern, and it's the reason we lost to Buffalo, is we struggle stopping the run.
Right. That's what I was going to ask. How do you think everyone is so focused on the offense, rightfully so?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the defense so far through 6 weeks?
We're very average.
Yeah.
I mean, Jalen Phillips missed a couple of games, but he's supposed to be our top pass rusher. We paid Bradley Chubb a ton of money. And he had a sack and a tackle for loss yesterday, but he's not being a superstar. Christian Wilkins on the intake.
He hasn't been for a while.
I know. We gave up a lot for him, though. But I think pairing him with Jalen Phillips, if Jalen Phillips is that 15 sack guy,
right,
he's our Von Miller to Bradley Chubb.
Right, which is the only time Bradley Chubb looked good.
Right. That's when Bradley Chubb was at his peak.
Yes.
Christian Wilkins wants a big contract. He's in his 5th year. He's a former first-round pick. Our other D-tackle, Sealer, has been a top 10 defense tackle against run and pass the last couple of years. Xavier Howard seems to have lost a step at corner. Not enough to where he's a liability, but he's not.
Especially if he's your second best corner.
But yeah, he's not the superstar corner. He's not the corner that had 25 interceptions over 3 years.
Yeah.
And Javon Holland has been knocking on Pro Bowls for 2 years now, and I keep waiting for that guy. And I don't know if Ramsey and Phillips get healthy,
right,
if that changes things. But our linebacking core scares me. And as good as Christian Wilkins and Sealer are at D-tackle, I don't think we've held anybody to under 4 yards per carry this year.
Jeez.
I look at every game and it scares me because I'm like, we're going to run into an Eagles team or a Detroit team or even the Titans, and they're just going to pound the ball all day long.
And that's my big concern for you guys is it's all fun now, but when you get into the playoffs and you play some elite defense
in cold weather,
and you don't have the best offensive game that game, which can happen in the playoffs, we've seen it. Can your defense actually hold on to win a game, to make a playoff run for you guys?
Yeah. I'd like to think that we could. I look at our team and I'm like, all right, we end up playing, let's say, Tennessee, right?
Right.
They have no one at receiver that can beat Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard. Or if they do, they're not going to beat him very often.
Yeah, D-Hop is past his prime.
Yeah. And Traylon Burks is slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, the way that I would do it if I was Fangio is I would literally have Xavier Howard and Ramsey locked up on the receivers, have Javon Holland, free safety, roam in the middle of the field, and the other 8 guys are just stopping the run.
Right.
I don't know if it'll be enough. We have 220-pound middle linebackers. They're made to play against the pass.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But that's my concern. I mean,
yeah, because I mean, you mentioned the Eagles. With that offensive line, with the size of Jalen Hurts and with the surprise of DeAndre Swift for them this season, that's a team that has got to be concerning.
Well, I can't remember the last time we beat a running quarterback. Why do you Josh Allen has we have never, I think we beat Josh Allen once in his career.
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
We've never beat Patrick Mahomes, so
yeah.
I know that feeling.
And Josh Allen is a bully when he runs the ball, and he's fast and athletic.
He runs like a big running back.
Yeah.
He wants to deliver blows.
I mean, he's a tight end back there playing quarterback. And the thing I worry about, if we play the Eagles in the Super Bowl, we'll probably lose.
Yeah.
Unless we figure out a way to spy the quarterback.
Right. Right.
Andrew Van Ginkel can be that guy. Or Jalen Phillips or Bradley Chubb. But then we wouldn't stop DeAndre Swift.
Right.
So
that's what are you willing to give up?
Yeah. I mean, we need a middle linebacker that's going to make his presence felt.
Yeah.
And we don't have it.
That's fair. That's
our biggest issue. That and kicking. I mean, Jason Sanders got a big money contract last offseason.
Yeah.
And then went on to make like 70% of his field goals last year.
That's rough.
Which is not good.
No.
And I worry, he's missed at least one this year. I worry when he gets in the big games what'll happen. He's a great extra point kicker. I don't know how good of a field goal kicker
he
is.
You just got to get in the end zone.
Yeah. He's got the yips, man. I mean, he's like a battered golfer. You just got to get it cleaned up, and
then he'll be fine.
Okay, he'll be all right.
So we'll see. We'll see if the Dolphins make any moves.
Yeah,
I'm curious to see what happens up into the trade deadline with them if they feel like they need to make a move to. Because I feel like your window's now.
Yeah, it is.
So
and we have some pieces to trade. Cedric Wilson,
who's not really being used at all.
Who's not being used at all. I mean, we picked up Chase Claypool in that trade. Nobody really wanted Chase Claypool,
right.
But I mean,
you also have 3 solid running backs.
Yeah,
Jeff Wilson you could use in a trade because they're with Raheem Mostert and A-Chain, you can't keep those 2 guys off the field.
And I don't know what's coming to Mostert. I know he said he put on 10 pounds, but the dude's a bully.
Yeah, dude, he had a couple runs this weekend that I didn't realize he had that in his game.
They credited him with 10 broken tackles on Sunday, and I didn't know he had it.
I just thought he was a straight line speedster, and that was about it.
He's a tough son of a gun, apparently. He's trying to truck people.
So we'll see what they do, moves-wise. Who are your other concerns? You mentioned the Eagles for contenders, legit contenders for the Super Bowl. Obviously, the Eagles have figured it out.
Yes.
They looked a little at times, but everyone has this season.
And the Eagles, you got to remember, they lost both coordinators.
Yeah.
Offense and defense.
Yeah.
So the first four weeks of the season was just
figuring that out.
Yeah, bringing in the new coordinators and breaking them in.
Right. I think they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Especially with the way DeAndre Swift has been playing for them, and it gives them a true running game.
Yeah.
Which is terrifying with Jalen Hurts at quarterback and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith wide.
And Goddard.
Yeah, you allow that offense, that passing game, to have more freedom and more space because you get an actual good running back like DeAndre Swift in there.
Yeah.
And that may be the piece that they were missing to go win a Super Bowl.
My biggest hope for Philadelphia is Jason Kelce just retires.
Yeah, that dude is a monster.
He's like 36 years old. I'm like, dude, just walk away, please, so that line starts to fall apart.
No kidding. Beyond then, obviously the Chiefs, as much as I hate saying it.
Are they?
My thing is, biased aside, as much as I want to hate Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, I can't not say they are until they prove me they aren't. I said that last year when they traded Tyreek Hill and then Patrick Mahomes with a bunch of nobodies and Travis Kelce went and won.
See, and Kelce went out and had a historic season. But
at the same time, they did just play our defense that's been historically bad, and they looked okay. They didn't look great.
My thoughts on Kansas City this year: Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to say otherwise. But I feel like this year they've lived on reputation.
That's fair.
And reputation only. They can turn it on. I'm waiting for them to turn it on. We've been waiting 6 games for them to turn it on.
Right. They're what, 4-2, 5-1? I think they're 4-2.
I think they're 4-2.
I think they're 4-2.
Yeah.
And realistically, they didn't look great against the Broncos.
What was it, 19-8?
Some crap like that. I know it was like the second time it's ever happened. That score.
It was bad.
So yeah, but like I said, I don't know. I can't count them out in a playoff run until Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce show me that, and Andy Reid show me that I can't.
Yeah.
AFC wise, beyond those two, you have the Bills, who are figuring it out. And as a Dolphins fan, the biggest concern for you guys is even when the Bills are struggling, they come and play the Dolphins and they decide that they're back to where they were at.
Yeah, every single time. The Bills are a contender just because of Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Their biggest question is Josh Allen led the NFL in interceptions last year, and I think he had 8 fumbles.
Right.
He's on pace for like 25 turnovers this year. It's not a Super Bowl team. They'll be a great team.
Right.
And it also depends. I mean, 3 interception game, 2 fumble game. Josh Allen's just a really good Daniel Jones.
Which hasn't got them where they need to be yet.
Not yet. And Josh Allen's supremely talented. It's just that the turnovers are still an issue, and they always have been.
And that is his biggest problem is with him being a bully and running like that.
Yeah.
It also comes with drawbacks.
Yep.
Comes with injury drawbacks. We're seeing that right now with Richardson and the Colts.
Oh, yeah.
But it also comes with lots of turnovers because at the end of the day, he isn't a running back.
No, and I mean, anybody that plays will tell you that played receiver, running back, even quarterback. But receivers and running backs, they're getting hit all day long. You get worn out. You have to build up a tolerance to that. And Josh Allen has built up something of a tolerance.
But it's not the same.
It's not. No. I mean,
so I don't, AFC wise,
I think those are your only 2 contenders.
Yeah, it's a weird season so far. I feel like for at least the AFC.
Yeah, I mean,
so I don't really know who I would put up there.
The Bengals could be if they figured out, but
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. NFC,
obviously the Eagles.
Yeah.
Surprise so far that could, I don't know, Detroit. I
love Detroit.
Dude, I love the culture of Detroit.
Dan Campbell, when he was with Miami, and he got his little interim stretch, I was pissed when we let him go.
Yes.
I was furious. I was like, I don't care who you bring in. Dan Campbell should have been our head coach.
For sure.
And what he's done in Detroit has been great. Jared Goff he's a very solid NFL quarterback. You got to mitigate him.
Mm-hmm.
And their offensive coordinator, you see him starting to do some of the same stuff Miami does with Tua, with the motions right before the snap.
It has helped having It's also helped having some serious playmakers at receiver. Amon-Ra St. Brown. That has been a monster.
Yeah.
And then Montgomery, I thought when they got rid of Williams, that was with his ability to just find the end zone was going to hurt them, and Montgomery has been better. He has been a better running back, in my opinion.
He has been, and he was always good in Chicago.
He was just in Chicago.
And people forget about anybody in Chicago.
Yep. And truthfully, their defenses look solid. Not great, but it looked solid.
Well, and they built the team the right way. It's kind of like you talked about. They didn't go out and try and draft a quarterback number one. They took an offensive tackle, and then the next year they took Aiden Hutchinson at defensive tackle.
Yep.
Or defensive end. They've slowly built that defense and that offensive line. I mean,
I feel like yesterday they were the laughing stock of the NFL, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh wait, this is a good team.
Yeah, I mean, 2 years ago they were. Anybody that's a Detroit fan will tell you that.
Yes.
But
for you guys, Sean is actually a Detroit fan.
Yeah.
So he'll tell you all about the sufferings that he's had.
We've made fun of him for years.
So he's loving this year with me. He's loved years with you. So
yeah.
This is his time to shine, just like you with the Dolphins.
Yep. Yeah, and Detroit's an interesting team. I mean, you can fluster Jared Goff into bad decisions.
100%.
They need somebody else to step up besides Amon-Ra and Laporta.
Yeah, Josh Reynolds. Yeah, he's shown a little bit for him.
He's solid. They need Jameson Williams to step up.
Yes, that's true.
He just got back from suspension.
Mm-hmm.
He's a game breaker.
Yeah,
just like he was at Alabama. Just like Waddle is. Just like Devontae Smith. He can be that game breaker, but will he become Waddle and Devontae Smith, or is he going to become Jerry Jeudy?
Yeah, that is a concern for them.
He's a lot faster than Jerry Jeudy, but
I think also, I was just praising Montgomery, obviously, but Jahmyr Gibbs has not been as good as they were hoping, in my opinion, to where their running game has. I think they've gotten lucky that Montgomery's been playing good.
Yeah,
because they expected Gibbs to come in and be able to play really well, and he's not been that good.
I had the discussion with our brother Derek. What's the fascination with Jahmyr Gibbs? He's undersized. He has good quickness, average speed. He's a good receiver, not a great receiver. He's okay running in between the tackle, but he's undersized, not super fast to run around the outside. So I'm like, everyone was like, we got to draft this guy.
Dude, I feel like going into once the Lions got him, the whole thing was like, dude, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be so good. And
yeah.
It was like, is he?
And I kept thinking the same thing, and I'm like, why? What makes him good?
Yep.
Maybe he'll turn it around, but
that's the thing with rookies. It's usually the second half of the season that you really start to see what they are.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Beyond that, are there any actual other real contenders?
The Niners.
Oh, sorry, dude. I don't know how I forgot about them. Hey, the actual contenders of the East,
yeah,
or the NFC. My bad.
Yeah, the Niners.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. I mean, the Niners are a contender. I mean, they have stars throughout that team.
And what's funny is I don't think Brandon Ayuk has even touched his surface of what he could be at with them.
No, and he's the better receiver.
He in my opinion is the alpha of that receiving core. He should be so. If he didn't have a million other pieces around him, he would be having an incredible season. I think he also got hurt.
Do you know who his situation reminds me of? Is Devontae Smith.
Okay.
Because him and Devontae Smith are very similar.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he's a little bigger. They're similar type players. They are the true ones that keep the offense moving.
Right.
But A.J. Brown and Debo they're your big plays guys. So they get all the fanfare.
And they just pay Debo.
Yeah.
And they haven't paid Ayuk. They have to, in my opinion, they have to feed Debo a little bit more in that sense.
Yeah.
It looks bad if you don't, but either way, they haven't struggled because of it.
No, I mean, and it's the same argument in Miami too. Tyreek is our number one, and he deserves it. He's going to go for 2,000 yards. But if you look at last year, Jalen Waddle led the league in first down catches.
Right.
He kept the offense moving.
Right.
And in San Francisco, that's Brandon Ayuk. He's in the same role, and Debo is your Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Debo, they just use more as a running back instead of on some of these quick passes.
And
he's hurt again.
Right.
He's hurt again. George Kittle is
so inconsistent. But that's the problem. He's inconsistent. I don't know if that's Brock Purdy. I don't know if that's the offense. When he's involved, he's incredible.
Yeah.
But then you'll see just 3 weeks that he had 1 catch.
Yeah, and I think part of it...
You can also count on him being hurt 3 to 4 weeks every single year. That's my concerns with George Kittle.
Yeah, and I think part of it is he plays kind of like a Gronk style.
Yeah. He's
going to truck the defender. I mean, he's a wrestling fan. He loves the contact.
Yeah.
That's why he's such a good blocker. But he's not a prima donna. Debo will cry if he doesn't get the ball.
True.
Kittle will not. Kittle will go block for a touchdown run.
That's true.
For McCaffrey next play.
That's true.
Where Debo's going to walk off the field and slam his helmet and say he wants the ball.
Right.
So a part of it, I think, is Kittle just being a good team guy where he disappears.
That's fair. Because you've seen it. I mean, there's been games where he's been the most dominant player on the field.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, once again, it comes to the fact that they've got so many mouths to feed.
So many.
That's with barely talking about CMC.
Yeah. Who's hurt again? You pay a running back $20 million.
That is the one concern with the Niners.
Yeah.
Is they've got a team full of people who can't stay healthy.
Their whole team's hurt right now.
Yeah.
I mean, Trent Williams is hurt. McCaffrey's hurt. Debo's hurt.
George Kittle will probably be hurt next week.
Probably. I mean,
and that's where it comes down to is Brock Purdy.
Nick Bosa's going to get hurt next week.
Exactly. When you don't have all these pieces around Brock Purdy, how good can he be?
I think still good.
Yeah.
But you will also look at that roster. Their starters are superstars. Mm-hmm. The depth is awful. Mm-hmm. They have who's behind Brandon Ayuk?
I was going to ask you because I have no idea who their third receiver is.
I think it's Juwan Jennings still.
I couldn't tell you.
Okay, Juwan Jennings is.
Dude, I couldn't tell you.
Is an average third, fourth receiver. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a good team guy. Go out there and block, but I don't think he could start for the Indianapolis Colts.
That's fair.
So
that's rough.
Yeah. They may still have Trent Taylor. I don't know. Those guys barely get on the field, and they don't ever throw him the ball when they do.
Yeah.
So I think with those guys going down, Niners are in trouble if that happens. They have no depth, and I think Purdy will be solid. He'll keep the ship running. He won't turn into Mac Jones.
That's fair. Man, if they're healthy, we could have a Dolphins-Niners Super Bowl, and that could be an incredible offensive showdown.
Oh, my gosh.
that would be an exciting game to watch no matter what happens.
Right? I mean, it's funny, too, because McDaniel and Shanahan are such good friends.
Right.
Mike McDaniel followed Shanahan for years around the NFL. But you put those two on the field, there might be a combined 140 points scored in that game.
No kidding. Especially, if the Dolphins throw up 70 again.
I mean, it could happen. We could each put up 65 points or something like that. It wouldn't surprise me if a Niners-Dolphins game happened.
That's true. Yeah, they're the two teams that seem to be the most put together. The most ready to make a run. Yeah. Right now.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens, as the season goes on and teams start to figure it out more, but they definitely through the first 6 weeks should be the Super Bowl favorites for their conference.
What's funny is I told our cousin, he was in Vegas right before the season started. Mm-hmm. I was like, hey, if you got $100, throw a parlay bet out there. Tua for MVP, Tyreek for Super Bowl MVP, and Dolphins Super Bowl. Right now, that looks like a really good bet.
That looks really good. And if he had made that before the season,
the odds weren't good at all.
Yeah.
We were like the 7th or 8th best, I think. In some bookies, I think some bookies had us at like the 14th best team in the NFL.
Right.
They had the Jets and the Bills ahead of us.
Which, the Jets before Aaron Rodgers went down. Who, speaking of Aaron Rodgers, side note, is throwing on the sideline and somehow could be on pace to play this season. Would be the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
It would be.
At his age, with that type of injury?
Yeah.
I thought he was done. I thought career, like the second I
Forever.
saw him go down with an Achilles at his age, I thought that's curtains.
Well, he's what, 38?
38, 39. He's late 30s.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always somebody that pushes injuries, and I assumed Aaron Rodgers would come back.
Yeah, I thought it was a 50-50 shot, man. I definitely didn't think he was going to come back this season.
I doubted this season. I figured he would come back next year.
Yeah.
At least get 1 or 2 good more years. But this season, the surgery he had where they shave off the bone and they instill a splint over top of that Achilles surgery.
Yeah.
It's very new. So if he does come back this year, I'd be interested to see how long it lasts.
How it responds.
Yeah. Is it something that after a year or 2 it starts to fade away and he has to have it fixed again?
Right.
Or is it something that holds and maybe we get 5 more years Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, I'm super curious to see how that kind of turns out.
Yeah. I don't ever want a player to get injured, but the Jets worried me more than the Bills.
That's fair. And now Zach Wilson at the helm.
And now with Zach Wilson, I'm not too worried.
No,
I mean, as long as he doesn't turn the ball over and sleep with his teammates' moms.
I was going to say, as long as they keep him away from some moms, he should be fine, I guess.
Yeah. He's in New York. There's plenty of moms up there. He doesn't need to worry about his teammates.
Yeah, I feel bad. I just feel bad for Garrett Wilson.
I know.
I feel so bad for Garrett Wilson.
I do too. I mean,
that dude was gonna have an incredible season.
Oh yeah, I thought he was gonna go off this year with Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers, he finds his number 1 target. He loves him.
Yeah,
he will feed that guy all day long, and he was gonna have a phenomenal season. I mean, look what Devontae Adams, great receiver, but since he left Rodgers.
I mean, now that he's got Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, Jimmy won't throw him the freaking ball, man.
Yeah.
Just throw it up to your number 1 receiver sometimes.
Sometimes it helps.
You've got to do it sometimes.
Now that Derek Carr's got a much better team around him, he doesn't look great, but looks fine.
And honestly, New Orleans is a team, they could make waves late in the season.
Yeah.
They have a good team. And they have a good culture.
Right.
So,
which that is truthfully, that is a huge part of it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, teammates get along. Everybody knows their part. Everyone's happy with the part that they play.
You play a lot harder when you're having fun.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So who are your surprises this season at an individual rate? Lions, obviously, as a team, are surprised. I thought the Dolphins would be good. I didn't think they would be this good, so that's a surprise.
Yeah.
But individual performances, who are your biggest surprises through 6 weeks?
Justin Fields.
Yeah, as a fantasy football owner, I drafted Justin Fields, and he's made me want to punch a few holes in walls.
He's on one of my teams too. I don't get it. He was so good at Ohio State.
Yeah.
He came out, he struggled, and that was fine. We all kind of figured it would happen. He's on a Chicago team who is horrendous. And then last year, you saw him start to put it together. He had some games where at least he's running, and it started to open up the pass block.
Right.
And maybe I shouldn't say Justin Fields because he's had a terrible season, but Chicago's about to find out that it's not just Justin Fields. They have the worst offensive coordinator I have ever seen.
Right.
I don't think that guy's even played Madden, let alone football in his life.
But the thing is, too, though, is watching the Bears games, there's just decisions that Justin Fields is making where it's like, what are you even seeing? And that comes back to the argument I made.
Yeah.
Right, where you have this incredible quarterback who loses all his confidence and just starts to look bad.
Yeah, and some of it's on Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been making bad decisions, and you start to worry, is he becoming Derek Carr, where he's seeing ghosts?
Yeah.
Because Derek Carr was super talented. Terrible offensive line. Chicago's starting left tackles out. They're starting right tackles out. They're on like their second or third string left guard. They're on a backup center.
Yeah, that's rough.
They have DJ Moore at receiver. They've got Darnell Mooney. They got Cole Kmet. That's great. But their offensive line is, I think, there's some college teams that could beat their offensive line. I don't know if Deion Sanders at Colorado would accept some of those offensive linemen on his team.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Chicago's a mess, man.
Yeah.
But
Denver's a surprise. I didn't think that they would be as bad as they
I
are.
thought we would be on the brink of a 500 season, flipped either way.
Yeah.
Eight
I can
and
see
nine,
that.
8 and 9, 9-8.
Yeah.
I thought we would be on that cusp.
Yep.
And figuring things out.
I did too. I thought that you guys were going to be right there. I mean, you're going to have some things you're going to still need to work through, but I didn't think you'd be terrible.
And out of the Broncos, the biggest surprise is the defense. Man, last year we had a top 5 defense.
You were good.
And somehow have the worst defense to ever exist this year. So I would agree.
Yeah.
That's a surprise. But talking quarterbacks, you talked Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
CJ Stroud.
He's a dude.
Dude, he is like top 5, top 10 in yards and touchdowns. Like,
yeah.
CJ Stroud's balling out.
He's got a great guy in D'Amico Ryans.
Mm-hmm.
He's a player's coach. He was a player. He understands.
Right.
And honestly, that's what's missing from a lot of teams is a lot of guys are worried about being yanked.
Yeah.
They can't go play confident. That was Tua's issue in Miami early on. He had no confidence that Brian Flores would back him ever.
Right.
And so he was scared.
Right.
And you got a guy like McDaniel that backs him, is ready to go. D'Amico Ryans 100% with CJ Stroud. If CJ Stroud goes, this team goes, and that's how it's going to be.
Dude, and Nico Collins and Tank Dell those dudes have been studs too.
They've been good. I liked Tank Dell coming out. Nico Collins has been a surprise. I didn't expect it out of him.
Dude, he's been a star for them.
He's balling.
So, and then you can't talk surprises without talking about freaking Puka Nacua. Like,
just because you destroyed me in fantasy with him.
Come on, that's been the best pickup ever.
Oh, he came out of nowhere, so I didn't know about him at BYU.
I didn't either. I
think he was injured going into his senior year.
So, for you guys, our brother and our dad, huge BYU fans, we both hate him.
I wouldn't say I hate BYU. I just like them.
You just don't care.
I don't care
as much as they do. You don't care. I can't stand BYU. I can't, I'm a Utah State fan, so it comes to the territory. We suck too. It's fine. I get it. But talking with them and take it with a grain of salt, they're BYU fans, that Puka Nacua was incredible. There's some leeway there, but there's also something there too.
I swear he missed his entire senior season. Or like 10 of the games. Like
he
barely played his senior year because of injury.
All I know is, dude, and I was telling everybody, going into week 1, I picked Puka Nacua up for fantasy football, and it was like, look, there's no one else on this team who can catch the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Stafford's going to throw it to him 50 times a game.
And he did.
I didn't expect that to actually happen.
I was playing Tutu Atwell thinking, Tutu's been there. He's going to catch 7 or 8 passes a game. They're going to give him some jet sweeps. Lo and behold, here comes Puka Nacua.
I think through the first 4 weeks, he legit averaged 15 targets a game.
I think he did, and he caught 10 of them.
Yeah, he's getting the volume, but he's also producing with it.
Yeah,
him and Cooper Kupp now all of a sudden make a terrifying receiving combo.
He's borderline the best rookie receiver in the NFL.
Yeah,
and it's crazy.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch this season. It's been a weird season. There's been some really fun stuff to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Dolphins, some success stories.
Yeah.
It's also just I feel like it's been a weird season so far. Some teams I expected to be great have been okay. Some teams I expect to be good have been awful.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Packers are one that surprised me. I didn't think that they would be where they are.
Yeah. We'll see what happens with them after a bye week and Christian Watson getting healthy.
Yeah, and I think that's going to help. Jordan Love's completing like 58% of his passes. Not great.
Right.
But he's been missing Christian Watson all season and Aaron Jones most of the season.
Right.
So that could change things dramatically.
So we'll see what happens as the season goes on. We plan on doing this twice a week for you guys. Yep. This was more kind of introductory for you guys. For the future, beginning of the week, we'll do kind of a follow-up on reactions to what we felt the week went, the surprises for the week, things like that. And then at the end of the week, we'll do a kind of a pre-week
projections, what we're expecting,
Yeah.
type of thing. I mean, we could go through, if we wanted to, we could go through each game, kind of our thoughts on the games.
Yeah, 100%. Let us know what you guys want to see. We're obviously here to entertain you guys as well. And
Yeah.
we love talking football, and so expect to see a whole lot more of this.
Yeah.
Let us know what you guys your surprises are for the seasons. Or for Broncos fans, are you as pissed about this season as we are?
You should be.
So, let us know in the comments what you guys think and what you want to see.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sweet. Thanks, guys.
See ya.